I can't sit idly by while forces are at work to silence the voices of my community. Elements of Secure My Vote, like doing away with automatic absentee ballots, would adversely affect the seniors in my congregation. Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan and Delta Dental of Michigan have been using our taxpayer dollars through their contracts with the City of Ann Arbor and Washtenaw County to bankroll the legislature behind these efforts. Vendors doing business with municipalities should align their own publicly stated positions on racial justice and internal policies on diversity, equity, and inclusion with their political advocacy and spending.
Racial justice, racial equity, and access to the vote are deeply held community values, long-held community values. And I'll tell you, even just in the last 2 years since I've been on council, this council has done things like we've passed the Crown Act, we've hired our first ever DEI director for the city of Ann Arbor, we made Juneteenth a city holiday for Ann Arbor. We've supported voter access efforts like no reason absentee voting and mobile voter registration clinics. And it's so critical that our local tax dollars do not fund efforts that undermine voter access or racial equality.
Extremist politicians and voter suppression efforts are something that you would think Michigan corporations would not want to stand behind. But the other piece of this is what can we do as government? And I think that's the big piece in terms of saying, you know, our actions speak louder than words. So we have made, we have said words as well, and we need to back it up with action.
This isn't a partisan or nonpartisan politics. This is about extremist elements that would rather disenfranchise my community than address the needs. That ain't right.
That ain't right.
Silence is not an option for our communities. Not an option. The time to act is now. The proponents of the voter restriction effort submitted over 500,000 signatures in late July, likely enough to get introduced in the legislature this year's lame duck session. We are at a pivotal moment in our democracy and civil rights, and corporations like Blue Cross Blue Shield and clients like Ann Arbor and Washtenaw must choose to stand on the right side of history. These corporations can no longer declare that Black Lives Matter while also funding lawmakers trying to silence our votes and our voices.
And I'm going to say this. I was 13 years old in 1965 when I saw Bloody Sunday on TV. 5 years later, at 18 years old, I voted. And I voted consistently since then. You cannot have my vote.